asking, please, if you can turn off your mobile phones, if you can put in the silence mode. Also, in this meeting, we should not be talking about religion, sex, something like that. Before to start the meeting, I would like to remember about the mission. The Toastmasters missions is to provide a supportive learning experience by the members and develop their communications. Also, I would like to remind all our members, 4th of July, all the pubs going to open, and we are going to have a happy life again. And now I would like to call our president. Today is a very special day because I believe it's the first meeting of his of his administration. And please, can you call now our special president, Tony Ballard? Tony?
I see.
Yes. Yeah, we are having problems, I believe.
Meeting here.
So I can take over. I'm not sure what's Tony's obviously dropped his had his internet fail on him. So I will be.
Okay.
Is he back? What's going on? Tony, you there? He's not there. He's not there. He can give his.
No.
You are there. I can see you. You moving? You talking? What's going on?
Can
Tony, up to you now.
So we'll leave Tony. You can give your introduction maybe after the speeches, Tony. So I am Toastmaster for today, and the theme of this meeting is to be the best version of you. Now, I should actually start by saying Happy New Year. Probably the first time that anyone has heard that in July. I'd really like to know why the Toastmasters year starts in July. I don't know the answer to that, but I'd be interested to find out. I might Google it afterwards. But as the new year, it is common for most people to, I guess, reflect and make resolutions. And a common theme of most people's resolutions is to improve themselves. And I guess we share that common theme to improve ourselves by being better communicators. And that's the reason why I chose that theme. So as Tony, when he comes back to introduce himself, he's taken on the role as president for the first time. I've also joined the committee to challenge myself by taking on the role of vice president of education. And additionally, there are a few roles which I've always, I guess, steered away from in my 18 months as Toastmaster member. And one of those was the role of Toastmaster, just because I thought, oh, it's too much. And I wasn't quite ready for it. But today's the day, and I thought I'm going to dive in and give it a go. So there are a few people who are going to assist me in running this meeting. They will introduce themselves and describe the role they will play in the meeting. The first person I'd like to introduce, who has been a great help to me, showing me all things to do with speakeasy and pathways, is Julie. So let's welcome Julie. No, you have to unmute yourself.
My role is a speaker, not?
I thought you were a warm-up leader.
Okay, let's do a warm-up.
Did you not know that?
Yes, I am
Okay.
ready to be.
No, you've muted again. You need to unmute.
Now, unmute. I would like everyone to speak just 10 seconds. Tell your name, tell from where you are, and what you want from this Toastmaster year in one paragraph. Samuel.
Samuel Tucker. To challenge myself to make sure by the end of the year, I've tried every single role.
Mark.
My name is Mark Harris, and I would like to continue to grow in whatever way, shape, or form that looks like.
Anthony. Unmute, yes.
Yeah, yes. I would like to be a better speaker by the end of this year.
Fernando.
Hello, my name is Fernando. I would like to be able to speak English public speaking the way I speak in Portuguese.
Phil Reynolds.
Good evening, Phil Reynolds. I would like to continue my journey to becoming a confident public speaker over this year.
Martin, our guest, first time guest.
Hi, I would like to improve my public speaking in all areas. Yeah.
Sylvester.
Hello, Sylvester. I would like to improve my confidence in public speaking and one day be a great MC.
Donovan.
Hi, my name is Donovan Grant. I will be focusing on helping our new speakers and welcoming new guests to become better speakers also.
Luciana.
Hi, my name is Luciana Wedderholt, and I would like to become a confident public speaker. Thank you.
Nadine.
Hi, my name's Nadine, and I want to just develop my speech skills, so practice more and do more speeches.
Laura.
Hello, this is my second Toastmasters event gathering, and I really want to get better at public speaking. I've had quite a few events recently where I've had to do more of it, and I really don't feel very strong in that area, so I want to hopefully hone some skills and get more relaxed when I'm talking in front of big groups or screens.
From Sarika.
Hi, I'm Sarika. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm friends with Sylvester, actually. So I think it's a great idea. I would like to become a very strong and confident speaker in all kinds of settings, in all kinds of settings. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of this, and I'm just going to listen today.
Gemma.
Hello, I'm Gemma, and I hope to be less critical of myself when I public speak, and to be less evaluating, and to take any role that anybody gives to me without second questioning myself.
Wow.
Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I would like to be a confident speaker, and also I would like to challenge myself to at least get halfway through the presentation mastery this year.
Patricia, if you can speak. No. Tony, can you speak now, our president? No. Donovan? No. Samuel, it is up to you. Everyone told something about themselves. Unmute yourself, perhaps.
Did you, Julie? Did you have a go? Did you, Julie? I can't remember.
I am Zurich, and I hope to give a lot of educational speech this year.
Thank you. So the second person assisting me is someone who's himself taken on quite a few roles. I know, but he's also been Toastmaster and I think also evaluated a few times, but it could be his first time as timekeeper. Is that correct, Sylvester?
I've done it once before.
Oh, no. Okay, second time as timekeeper. Over to you.
Okay, so time is a critical success factor in every meeting, and I am glad to be your timekeeper for this evening. The speeches of the speakers will have 3 times allotted to them, and for each of these 3 times, I have 3 cards here. When you're within your time, you're going to see the green. Hope you can all see. The color is not messing up. You can all see it's green.
Yeah, I can see green.
Yeah, and then if you pass your green time, you go into amber. And then if you overrun, or if you go into your allotted time, if you exceed your time and run over, you're going to get red. And then that means you have to bring your bring your speech to a close. And if not, I think the whoever has the power to mute you. Am I correct? Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So after Sylvester shows the red, you've actually got 30 seconds to conclude your speech. Otherwise, Julie, me, or whoever else is co-host will mute you. And Sylvester will feed back at the end of each session to inform everyone how much they spoke for. Another new member on the committee is Gemma, who today is also taken on her first time role as a grammarian. Gemma, if you can explain what that role is.
Okay, second time as a grammarian.
Oh,
thank you.
My counting's really bad. I can't count to me.
No, you're doing well. So, good evening, my fellow Toastmaster and all the most welcome guests. I am your grammarian today, and I'll be looking at for your speech and how you speak and your words. As we know, we use words every day. Words is a thing that we do to communicate with each other. So I'll be looking out for any improper speech, any words that sound though it brings up your speech or your conveying of your point. I'll be looking out for any repetition of words and also looking out for any ums and ahs, those filler words. I have a word of the day, and the word that I've got for you is zealous. So you probably can't see it on the mirror backwards here, but it's zealous. And I picked this word today because the theme was all about, we've got the best version of you. And when we think of the word zealous, it says to you, that you're excited and you're happy to do something, but even more so, you're really happy, you're really excited to go the extra mile. So a way that you could use the word is, I'm zealous to finish my presentation mastery, or I'm zealous at this carnival today. So it's just a real uplifting word for what we're doing today. Back to you, Toastmaster.
So first speech is, I guess, so personally, so for the Toastmaster journey, a hurdle is, I guess, the motivation to join Toastmasters, which is a hurdle because a little bit scary. I want to do it, but I don't want to do it at the same time. Then there's a hurdle to do your first speech. Probably an even bigger hurdle is to take part in a competition. And so our first speaker is someone who did that and won her very first competition at Lewisham Speakers, and that is Nadine, who has an interesting title, You What. But before I hand over to Nadine, she will be evaluated by Michaela. And so if Michaela can unmute and just tell us what Nadine will be talking about.
Okay, so Nadine will be right. Okay, I don't think Nadine's given me the title. So what I've got on here is she will be researching and presenting an unfamiliar topic, and using citing sources to support the speech content. I don't actually know what the title is.
That's right. It's called You Watch. But
all right, thank you. Oh, is it? Oh yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Nadine.
That's all right.
Okay.
Okay, Nadine, over to you. Thank you.
By a show of hands, have you ever been on a website and left it completely frustrated because you couldn't find out what you wanted and the website was just really difficult to navigate? Have you ever thought to yourself, what on earth was the designer thinking? Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, through my speech, I hope to suggest a better solution. In recent years, there has been a huge trend for digital designers and many creatives to implement human-centered design principles into their process. Instead of focusing on just shiny pixels, which are aesthetically pleasing to the eye and have a bad user experience, they've been prioritizing the user's needs to make them focus on the user rather than just the end outcome. There are many different design methods that the designers use to achieve this. A key method that I'm going to talk about in my speech today is think alouds that are part of the usability testing process. So what is a think aloud? A think aloud is a method where people are recruited to share their views on a digital product and give their honest feedback to help improve the system and make it more desirable to the end user. During the session, they are encouraged to share their honest feedback and verbalise their thoughts, feelings, and expectations of the outcome. This can be on an existing live website or even during really early stages like pencil sketches or a paper prototype. The process was originally based on a theoretical framework developed by Ericsson and Simon in the 1980s. So why should designers use think alouds in their process? The main important impact is that they're cheap and robust, as you don't need any special equipment. Just a moderator to facilitate the session and ask questions, and a note taker to note down what people are saying. But the main factor for using think alouds, as an article I found suggested, is that you can change the views of the most hardboiled developers, arrogant designers, and tight-fisted executives, causing them to soften up and change their views that they wouldn't usually do and make those adjustments to their thinking without the insights that they've gained from these think aloud sessions. On a recent project with Dementia UK, I was fortunate to use think alouds in an evaluation of a live website. Dementia UK was interested in finding out how they can get more users to volunteer or sign up to fundraising events to raise money for the charity. The session took place before COVID, so we could meet up face to face, if you remember what that was like. The participant, I interviewed many participants, but one of the participants I interviewed was a lady in her 50s. She was a mother of 3, very digital savvy. So as soon as I gave her the mouse, she jumped into action, and she was very dynamic and engaged, sharing her views on what she liked and didn't like about the website. As a moderator, it was such a fantastic session to moderate. Just as we were finishing up, she was scrolling up and down the homepage with a really confused look on her face. "This isn't right," she remarked. I probed her to find out more. "What is that doing there? And why is it so small?" The About Us link was in the tiniest font that you could think of in the top right-hand side of the page. "No, this needs to be much bigger. If I'm going to sign up to fundraise for this company, I want to know who they are. It's fair enough the website shared so much information about dementia and the condition itself, but who are the charity? Who are the people behind this charity?" This here is a key insight that I wouldn't have been able to gain without the Think Aloud, and this user being so open and sharing her views. And it made a huge difference because when I fed that feedback back, the charity actually changed where the position of the About page was and moved it to the navigation bar, so it was in a key place. And what was more interesting about the insight was that when I'd done my initial overview of the website, I hadn't even seen the About Us link or questioned its relevance. However, not all sessions are this successful, as some participants are quite hesitant and need to be probed and reminded to share their thoughts and think aloud. Most importantly, they need to be asked why they think that something needs to be changed. In this regard, think alouds are shown to have some negative impacts, as they are seen as weird and unnatural situations. Some people don't want to share their opinion straight away because they want to edit what they're saying so they sound a bit smarter. Other people are more hesitant because they don't want to offend the designers, so they are worried about saying the wrong thing. So it's very important when using Think Alouds to set up the environment so the participant feels as comfortable as possible. This can be done well by setting up the session in an open, friendly manner so that people, by starting with some introductory questions to find out a bit more about the participant, and that way they feel more relaxed that they're going to share their opinions because it's more like a conversation rather than an interrogation. I can't emphasize how important setting the environment up, as sometimes you have these sessions where you feel like you are sat in an empty room waiting for paint to dry. It is dire. So, what do you think of the homepage? It's all right. Is there anything in particular that jumps out at you? No. To push you a little bit further, is there anything that you'd change about the website? No. This is an actual interview I had. As you can see, some participants can be very hesitant and don't want to share their opinions, but it's the role of the moderator to generate them and push them further to engage them. Some people argue that you should do silent sessions or reflective think alouds, where you save the question until the end and just get the person to view the prototype or the website and ask them the questions at the end. But these sessions can be quite challenging because it relies on the participant remembering everything they've seen. So, to conclude, as I see my red time has gone up, you might not be a budding user experience designer with the thoughts of changing the world of digital design, but I believe there is a huge significant role in feedback in everyday life. So next time you're faced with a different decision to make or a challenge, consider involving others. Most importantly, think about how, why, and what influence sharing your problem can have in making your solution better. Thank you.
Thanks, Nadine. So, I mean, you actually experienced a zealous participant who gave you feedback that led to a change in the design. That's cool. So if we can, Sylvester, have 1 minute on the clock, and if you, I'm talking to you as in the people on this call, if you go to your chat box and select Nadine's name from the drop down and just give us some feedback on how you thought her speech went.
So just to be clear, is that jotting down feedback direct to Nadine or on the group?
Direct to Nadine in the chat. So select Nadine's name via the chat button at the bottom of your screen.
I think my internet's being a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Okay, that's a minute gone. Thank you very much. So I guess continue that theme to be the best you can be, and taking that first plunge onto the stage is Luciana. She will be evaluated by Tony, and Tony is not on the call, so we have a problem.
Sam, I'll do it.
Thank you, Phil. So it sounds, well, normally at this point I would say, do you want to introduce Luciana? But I mean, you've only just 2 seconds ago realised what you were going.
Fine. It's fine.
well.
So Luciana is giving her icebreaker speech tonight. So this is the first. So for Flora and for guests, your icebreaker is the first speech that you give to introduce yourself to the club. So her objective with this speech is to deliver a speech on any topic as an introduction to the club using any style that appeals.
Thank you, Phil. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Luciana, and there are 2 things you should know about me. First is that I'm a very curious person. I love people. I am zealous about life. I like events and so on. And the second thing is that I have a fear of public speaking. I'm from Brazil, and generally when I tell that to people, I get the, wow, what are you doing here? It's so cold and raining. But the truth is, I really like it here. And I feel like I'm a international citizen, since I feel a little bit too conservative in an English way when I go to Brazil, and too Brazilian when I'm here in England. In Brazil, I come from right in the south, which can get quite cold in winter time. Sometimes you get even -4 degrees. And my state is very green with red earth. It's lovely there. And I live really from the countryside, because when people think about Brazil, they think about beach, sea. But my nearest beach is 7 hours drive. And the first time I saw the sea, I was 18 years old. My curiosity drove me there. When I was, as soon as I turned 18, I said, that's it, I'm seeing the sea. I just went, and it was amazing. By 21, I had some friends in London, and they say, come on, Luciana, come and visit us, you know. And I came, and here I am. The second point about me is the fear about public speaking, and I will mention a couple of situations. My first memory of public speaking, well, actually was singing. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and at nursery, it was a singing contest. And I remember I sang a song that I love so much, and it was on a microphone, and I sang it so loud, and I was dancing, you know, and the children below, they were dancing, the teacher, and it was amazing, it was great. And I won the competition. It was a little golden necklace, which was with star on it. I loved it. It was a really great experience that I will cherish. But then, years later, I was about 10 or so, I had another experience that wasn't so good. It was at a school fair, kind of summer fair or so, and I had to recite a poem. And I forgot about it. I got at school late, and there was hundreds of people there. And my teacher said, Luciana, they've been calling you. And that started me, because I thought I was going to recite the poem only for my class, not for everyone, not in a show, on a stage. And I came with my hair all crazy, no. And then she said, oh, no time, no time. She just fixed my hair and said, you have to go and start. So you memorized the poem, didn't you? And I said, yes, but she said, no time, just go. And I went there. And when I was on the stage, there was everyone there, students, parents, staff, teachers. The mayor was there. It was a small town. The dogs were there, the cats, the parakeets, everyone was there, everything. And all the eyes were on me. And I felt something that I never felt before. I felt my heart was accelerating, but with fear. My hands were sweating. I couldn't feel my legs. My whole body was shaking. Then I focused on remembering the poem. And as soon as I spoke the first word, I could hear the echoing. And it was so silent. The silence was amazing. There are so many people, but I could hear my own breathing. And I just wanted the experience to finish as quickly as it could, so I just rushed it. And everyone clapped, people were kind to me, but those negative feelings stayed on, and I've been carrying them for ever since. They've been with me. And I avoid public speaking at every opportunity, unless I'm forced into it, because those sensations comes back, those bad memories. So the 2 points of being curious that I mentioned earlier, and the second of fear of public speaking, is what brought me here today. As a curious person that loves to communicate, I believe that joining Toastmasters will help me to progress on how I interact and engage with people. And thanks to my curiosity that I found this club, Lewisham Speakers, and I'm honored to have you guys by my side on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Luciana. So when you have an experience like that, you forget your words, get tongue-tied, sweat a lot. You think it's unique to you, but probably assure you that everyone here has felt exactly the same, and it's that's the way it is until you get more confident. But if Sylvester, you can give me another minute on the clock, and just like before, if you select Luciana's name in the drop down and give us some comments. Thanks, Charles. Our last prepared speeches by someone who's done so many. I think we just run out of numbers. To introduce her, it is Phil. It's to evaluate Phil. Over to you.
Thank you. So Julie is speaking on her presentation mastery path, and this is the first project in the first speech in the third project. So her objective is to present a speech on any topic that lends itself to speaking persuasively.
And the title is We Know. What do we know? We know first that we don't know everything. When we don't know anything, it is no problem. No. And Bernard Shaw told this with a bicycle in mind 100 years ago already. And then we arrive in a stage when we know that we don't know. and that is not so agreeable to us. And next, finally, we learn. And we know that we know. And late, we become experts and sometimes even forget how we learned and what we know. I experienced that first when I was a child, a 12-year-old, and my father came with me in a park and tried to teach me to ride my new bike, which I just got. And he kept me, and I went and went. He forgot to tell me how to stop. And when he let me go, I didn't know. And finally, I stopped in a tree. It was not a good landing. So he was a good teacher and put me again on the bicycle, teaching me different ways to stop. And next, I did stop with the brakes. And another time I stopped with my leg down. So I learned. And I knew finally how to use a bicycle, and I used it to go to school every day without thinking anymore how I do it. Toastmasters, do you know, is not a failed pass organization. We don't fail. We cannot fail. Anything I tell you, anything anyone tell you, once we do it, we're done. If it is good, it is good. If it is less good, the evaluator tells you eventually next time you can do and gives us something advice. But no one, even the VP or the district governor, can tell us, no one, do it again. We can do it again if we want, but no one can tell us. For 100 years, it was like always like this. Now, in Pathway, it is even better. If Phil evaluate me now in speaking, I can still ask someone else, Peter or Donovan or Fernando, to send me also written feedback. And I can use which feedbacks I want. That is very specific to Pathway. And of course, it's very important how you evaluate yourself, how you judge yourself, and what you think was not good from your speech. That is why it is so wonderful that we record our meetings, and I can look back at my speech and listen and see what I did well, what I didn't do well. Did I put my hands too near, or did I put my hands down so no one could see it, and so on. And of course, we can repeat our speech if we want to. If we have a pleasure to do it, we can repeat them, but only if we want to. And we can repeat them to learn better, or to make a new beginning or a new end, or add a new meaning to it. And most important, to make it sound like it is good for this audience. Each audience and each time, a certain way of telling is important. What I learned the most in the humorous path, it teaches you that you can have many ending, beginning, and you have to adapt every personal story to each telling. But I tell you now, I would not tell you exactly the same next time. So if I want to repeat it, of course, I will repeat it. Perhaps you will not even recognize it. I will change it so much. Or I will repeat it in another club, or in a few months' time, you will remember vaguely that I told something about a bicycle, but that is all. Modern learning pathway is extremely good. And the transition period, which we had with different educational speech, is now finished. Now we have all of us pathway educational program, and we should begin and speak about it more and more so everyone understands how it is. And make a video of it is one of the reasons, one of the good things. We can also make online presentations, online question and answers. Pandemic was good to something. We can do more online now. We can learn how to speak online better. The end is, I would like to say you, as I first gained a humorous contest with Dare to Fail. Dare to fail. I don't think that every speech is that or nothing. In Toastmasters, we can again and again tell it better and differently.
You've ended. Thank you, thank you, Julie. That was great advice. And so it's normally when you're at school, it's the fear of failing the exam that gives you butterflies, makes you nervous. Julie's right. There is no exam here. It is self-regulating. If you want to do a speech again, you can do it again. You can do it as many times as you like. So that's great. Julie, thank you. So Julie is, before we get to evaluation actually, so a minute on the clock, Sylvester, please. And for the last time, go to the chat and write some nice comments for Julie. Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you. So, Michaela, we're going to hand over to you to evaluate your team.
Okay, so Nadine was speaking about her Think Aloud platform type of evaluation for digital products. And I thought that I liked the way that Nadine described how, as a moderator, that it can sometimes be difficult to get participants to interact. And the way that she described that was really good, especially for the paint to dry type of situation. And I like the way that Nadine talked about the changes to the charity site and the way that she got an insight from the feedback of the participant. And I liked the way that she expressed she expressed that. I thought that her delivery of the speech was very engaging, and made the listener want to know more about the products and what she does. And I felt that it really flowed well, and it went readily from one part of the speech to the other, which was really good. That was a good transition. And the pausing and the pace was very good as well, and it was quite well executed. The only thing I would say is that there was just a little bit in the middle of the speech where she was talking about waiting for the paint to dry. I don't know if that was deliberate. I thought that was quite a long pause, but then it could be that is trying to get us to see how long it takes for something to happen. So it could be that the pause was deliberate to make us think more about how long it takes for the paint to dry, type of thing. So really, that is all that I can say. But I did think there was a good emphasis on the interaction with the participants, and a good explanation of something that I know absolutely nothing about. So I found it quite an engaging speech.
So first of all, thank you, Jill, for stepping in at the 11th hour to evaluate twice. And so your first evaluation is Luciana. Yep.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Luciana gave her icebreaker speech, and one of the things she told us was that she had a fear of public speaking. But I'm sure we can all agree that just from that performance, that there was absolutely no evidence that she had any fear of public speaking. That was confident, it was assured, and it was really engaging, and I was extremely impressed. One thing I really liked about Lucia's speech was the structure. She told us that she was going to tell us two things, and it was going to be about being curious and about her fear of public speaking, and that's exactly how many things she told us about. Sometimes when people are new speakers, there's a temptation to cram lots of stuff in, but she had two main points that she wanted to convey, and she did that really well, and that helped to really structure the speech. We knew where we were throughout. She told us the first part about growing up in Brazil and feeling like an outsider when she went back, and then the story of her fear of public speaking. Another thing I really liked about her speech was how she brought it to life. She had this great body language. Sometimes when people are speaking, they put their arms, especially online, they have their arms at the sides and they look at the camera, and that's really good. But Luciana was using her arms, and she was bringing it to life. I loved she used this motion when she was talking about being really nervous, and her big hair, and yeah, I thought that was a really engaging way to bring her speech to life. And I loved her language as well. She used the rule of three, which we often see politicians talk about. Tony Blair famously, education, education, education. And she talked about cats, turkeys, parents, students, teachers, these list of people around her just tripping off the tongue. It really made it, made me feel like I was in that crowd. I knew what it felt like to be that frightened little girl. And my only recommendation to Luciana, and this is something that will come as she grows and becomes a more confident speaker, there was some of that when she was talking about sweaty palms or being, shaking. She could have kind of acted that out a bit more, and she could have said, "Oh, my palms were sweaty," or "Oh, I was shaking like a leaf." She could have kind of brought that to life a bit further. My only other recommendation to Luciana is that I noticed that she had a slight nervous tick. She kind of adjusted her glasses a little bit. So that's something, I am an R, and I move my hands too much. So everyone has these nervous tics, and as she becomes a more confident speaker, that's something that we'll see fall away. But I thought it was a really, really lovely speech, and because of that two-part structure, it had a really firm conclusion where she said, actually, these are the two things I've talked about, and that's what's brought me to Toastmasters. And I thought it was a fantastic icebreaker, and I look forward to her next speech. Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Some good points there. So if I can call you back up to the stage to evaluate Julie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. So Julie's objective was to try and persuade us to give a speech that persuaded us of a topic, and and Julie's a very experienced speaker, and she, I think she did that very well. She persuaded us of the value of Toastmasters and of coming up and giving a speech, and even giving that same speech again and again. I think she did that very effectively, and I thought there was some really interesting techniques that she used and the way she spoke and some of the things she said that really helped to really persuade us to bring out the argument in her speech. So she started with that rhetorical question and drew us in. Her speech was called "What Do We Know?" and she just asked it straight out and said, "Well, what do we know?" And then it evolved. We know what we don't know, and on it went. And she said, and it's only then when we know what we don't know that we learn. And in that introduction, that, I don't know about you, but that really drew me into her speech. I was interested to know, well, what do we know? What do I know? What don't I know? What am I going to learn in this speech? It asked me those questions, and it made me, hooked me from the beginning, and it made me want to listen further. Julie, like Luciana, told a story, and that was really powerful. She spoke about being a little girl as well, and talked about being, learning to ride a bike. And then she had that lovely pause where she said, "But my dad didn't tell me how to stop." And again, I want to know what's going on. How is this going to end? Is she going to bang her head? Is she going to learn to ride the bike? And her tone and her body language helped to bring that to life. She had lovely eye contact. It was a lovely kind of metaphor for the kind of framework of knowledge that she wanted to convey about Toastmasters not being a pass or fail organization, and that you're not doomed to fail. And I think that tone of voice and those words, that kind of imagery is was a really powerful way to help persuade us that we can keep growing and building our confidence as public speakers. And even if we haven't had such a good speech, well, it doesn't matter, because we can go back and we can try again, or we can fall off our bike, or we can hit a tree, and it's all okay. I thought Julie gave a fantastic speech. My only recommendation to her would be that she halfway through her speech she introduced a book, and I don't think the book was part of the speech. She didn't make any wider reference to it. I think it was a kind of prop because it had a word that was relevant to the transition and to the change in the Toastmasters curriculum. So my recommendation would be not to kind of introduce things like that unless they have a clear and direct purpose in the speech. But I thought it was a very, very good, articulate speech, and I thought she used some really interesting persuasive techniques to make me want to give my next speech, and to us all too, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Phil. So that is the end of the prepared speeches. So we're now going to hear from the timekeeper, Sylvester, who will tell us who stuck to time. Sylvester.
Hello, everyone. Amazing, zealous speeches. I hope I've used it right, Gemma. So Nadine Grant with You What? 7 minutes, 34 seconds. Luciana Weatherall, My Journey, 5 minutes, 39 seconds. Julie with We Know, 7 minutes, 43 seconds. And on the evaluation, Michaela Anaka, 2 minutes, 43 seconds. Phil Reynolds on Luciana, 2 minutes, 29 seconds. Phil Reynolds on Julie, 2 minutes, 49 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Muted. I think I will hand over to our president to reverse the timetable and hear what he's got to say. Tony, you're back with us with stable internet. Take it away.
Sincerely apologize, guys. I'm actually driven to my parents' house to get this done. Yes, because my internet obviously went down. All I can say is sorry. But yes, it's first of all, I must thank the outgoing president for taking over, because I'm just about hearing what he was saying at the start and doing the evaluation for me. I would say welcome everyone. I know this is the first meeting. Obviously, it hasn't went very well for me, but it's obviously going well for you guys. And I thank all the participants and the Toastmaster for taking over everything. And I hope I'll finish better than I actually started. Thank you.
So that is the end of part one. We're going to have a break for, we'll say 10 minutes. In the second half, I know that there's one guest, Martin. So if you want to speak, Martin, we have table topics where someone, well, I'll let the table topics master explain what that is. But if you want to speak, you can send him a chat, message on chat. If anyone else would like to, you can do the same. But we will take a break now and be back 8:38. It's 10 minutes. Okay. Fernando, back to you.
Okay, today we've got a great speaker. It is Mark Harris. And the Mark Harris going to talk about what habits do you have that annoys the other people that is in your life.
Mark, you need to unmute yourself, Mark.
No worries, thanks. Right, so the question is what habits do I have that annoy other people in my life?
Yeah, what habits do you have that annoys the other people that is in your life?
Okay, so I would say one of the habits what my wife says that I've got, what I don't do very well, is listen to her. Because sometimes when she talks, it goes in this ear and it comes out that ear. And she says, you haven't been listening to me. So what I've come to do is I've just basically learned to accept it, that there will be times that I will listen to her and there won't be times when I will listen to her, but be present to the times when she's speaking. So I would say probably one of my habits, what I don't do so well is listen attentively to everything that my wife says.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Wonderful, congratulations. Now we have the other person. He's going to talk about what do you think is the best method to being the most popular kid in the high school? Who's going to talk about that is Anthony Anaka.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Anaka, and the topic is, what do I do to be the most popular student in a class?
Yes, what do you think?
Yes, all my life I've always been a popular student, because in a class, when I was growing up in primary school, I used to make people laugh. Whenever there's a topic in the class, I like to give my answers, whether it's correct or not. I can make a joke about myself. And also, I shout when I talk and people laugh, and that always makes me popular because I'm a smiley person. I laugh with people. I laugh at myself. I always like to be noticed in anywhere I go. Thank you.
Wonderful. Another one is going to be Donovan. Is okay? Donovan, what I'm going to ask you to talk about is what is your definition of being healthy and why?
So my definition of being healthy is to live the best life that you can live, or I live the best life that I can live. Because each of us has got our own way of thinking what is healthy for us. For me, it's about what I eat, it's what I do exercise-wise, and it's what I do for sleeping. Now, we've all got our own ways of doing these things, and I've got a crazy routine, and Nadine would tell you that I'm up really early, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing meditation, and all these things. But the most important thing of all is that I do what I want to do because I want to kind of make myself be the best that I can be, so that I can serve the greater population. So in this instance, my service to Toastmasters, the better I am, the healthier I am, the better I can perform with you. When I go to work, if I'm healthy, if I'm in good shape, I'll perform better at work. So generally, as I say, it would take a long time to tell you about my whole story, but really it's very much about what I eat, what I do exercise-wise, and making sure I get enough rest is my definition of healthiness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donovan, to share your experience with us. Now, I would like to have a little bit of vision of our president, okay? Tony, if it's possible, what's your most controversial view that most people disagree with you on?
What's my most controversial view that most people disagree with? I'd like to say that it's statements in the Bible. I find a lot of Christians disagree with a lot of things I say about the Bible because I'm very analytical and I look into things quite deeply. I find a lot of the stories in the Bible to be contradictory. A very interesting part of the Bible, for example, which I am struggling to understand with at the moment, is where Jacob was wrestling with God. And according to the Bible, it says Jacob wrestled with God and won. So I'm saying to myself then, if Jacob wrestled with God and won, in Genesis, I think it's 32:26, it says that, then it means man is greater than God. And I find that a very difficult sort of statement to digest, because in the Bible it says God made man in his own image. So if I look at it and say, if I made something in my own image, then and that thing is greater than me, then I must have done something wrong. That's my final point.
Thank you so much, Tony. I don't know if I can do that, but I would like to invite Zarika. Zarika, can I invite you? Let's go. What I'm going to ask you, what's one thing you do that people think is crazy, and why you do it?
I'm sorry. So the question is, what is one thing people think I do that is crazy?
What is one thing you do that people think is crazy, and why you do it?
Okay, so I mean, I would say there are a couple of things I do that are crazy, but one thing that I do that I think bugs my family is I overanalyze things. And kind of to that same point, I dwell on things. So part of over-analysis is kind of then dwelling on that thing, and I continuously run it in my head, and I talk about it with them. And whereas my family functions a bit differently, they kind of deal with it and move on. It drives them crazy, but it also drives me crazy as well personally. Why I do it, I would like to know as well, but I try to work on it, and I try to like stop. I try to catch myself when I'm doing it and work on trying to move on past it. So.
Okay, thank you so much. Michaela, can I invite you to share your experience with us? What's your, sorry about that. What is the best thing you ever purchased that was under 50 pounds?
Okay, the best thing I've ever appreciated under £50. Right, let me think about this, because I actually get a lot of books, and they're all under £50, and I read one every day almost. So I get a paperback, and it costs about £7. Sorry about that. It costs about £7, between £7 and £10. So it's under £50. And I get quite a lot of pleasure from reading books. It's not the same as a Kindle. I don't like reading on a Kindle. I prefer to read books. And I choose all sorts of different topics, like historical novels. Sorry about this. Someone keeps phoning me. I choose things like, well, it's really very varied. I read all sorts of stuff. I mean, I don't think there's anything that I don't like, apart from romances. I'm not into romances. That's not my type of reading. So I would say that is my best purchase under £50 is books.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Perfect. And Martin, can I invite you to share with us your ideas? What is the definition of success to you?
The definition I would have for success would probably be finding yourself in a position where you feel happy, content, secure, safe, and with support around you. And you know, that's kind of the sort of success that I would strive for in life. I don't necessarily agree with the idea that material success can bring you happiness in the same way that spiritual success can. Now, everyone has their own version of success, which is also fine. And I think it's just about finding your own inner contentness with how you feel comfortable in the world. And once you get to that place, I think you've found success.
Thank you so much. Phil, can I invite you to share with us now? What's your goal in the next 10 years? And then what's stopping you from get it done by the next years, do you think?
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. My goal in the next 10 years is to be happy at work. I absolutely hate my job, and I hate everybody that I work with. And I sit there every day and I complain to my wife, and I trudge up the stairs, and I turn on the computer, and within about 5 minutes I'm already reading The Guardian, and about 10 minutes after that I'm checking my emails, and I just don't feel valued at work. And it's really depressing to see other people, senior people, doing things that you think you can do or that you feel you should be doing. And so, yeah, I want to change my life, and I want to have a job where I feel like I'm fulfilling my potential. I work for a charity, so I feel very motivated by helping people and supporting people. So I want a role where I can really be the best version of myself, and to make the most use of my skills and experience to really to help as many people as I can. So I mean, I hope that won't take 10 years. I'm hoping that will only take 6 to 12 months, depending on the size of the recession. But yeah, I would like that's the thing that's holding me back. And in a year, I'm hoping I can find a new role.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Peter, can I invite you to share with us? If someone gave you $1 million and told you to create a charity and give it all away in 1 year, what charity would you create and why? You need to unmute yourself.
First of all, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Well, $1 million. Well, the first thing is I live in the UK, so I'd probably have to convert the dollars into pounds so I could actually use them. So we're now down to about £600,000. Probably I would like to give that away to something like Help the Aged, because I'm rapidly approaching their clientele, basically. And so, in fact, there is actually a charity very close to where I live, which really does a considerable amount of work amongst the elderly and vulnerable, amongst the forgotten people, as it were. And I think they would make very good use of such funds. And indeed, they were, one of the problems with giving a charity a large sum of money is, of course, it can be squandered. In fact, not going into too much detail, I've known charities receive large sums only for it to lead to fraud. And that really is a disgrace. But this charity is run by people that I know and trust, and I believe that the £600,000 would be put to good use and a good number of people would benefit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sylvester, can you share with us some ideas? What is the definition of success to you?
The definition of success.
Yes, success.
Some people see the success as having material things, because sometimes when you go to work and you're trying to get the house, you're trying to get the car, you're trying to get the financial freedom. So it gets to a point where you think, by having all these things is the definition of success. But I believe that the definition of success is having inner peace, being able to be comfortable, to putting in hard work to be able to get to a point where you're comfortable, but also having inner peace as well. So you have the happiness with the benefits of your hard work. So yeah, I would say that would be my definition of success: inner peace, combination with hard work. Proceed. Thank you.
And Nadine, can I invite you to share your ideas with us? Let's go. Can you unmute yourself? What was the worst job you ever had, and how did you end up leaving it?
So I guess the worst job was my first job, and it was in a chemist, and the guy said, "Oh yeah, you come and help us stack some shelves and do a little bit of tidying." And so I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So, you know, I was organising and helping the customers, and it was quite friendly. I was there for a couple of weeks. And then it was great because it's quite a small shop, so you kind of see regular people and things like that, and I felt like I was helping people and things like that. And then one day the guy was like, do you mind just coming in, and I need you to take over running the tills. And then he didn't really train me on doing the tills, but he kind of just threw me in on the deep end. And I think I was 14 at this point, so I was quite nervous just to be dealing with this system, which was quite foreign to me. And yeah, so I was a bit panicked, and I was a bit like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And the manager just wasn't very helpful. So from there, I was a bit like, I don't know if I can continue to do this job. And so, yeah, so I left. So it was probably I think I was there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So it was quite a short-lived job. But from there, I learned that obviously if you do get a job, you need to have proper training. So every job that I've got since then, I've made sure that if I'm asked to do a task, I'm giving clear instructions on what I need to do and given the structure to improve and work and be comfortable in the environment. But the panicked 14-year-old that I was didn't feel safe, so I didn't last very long there.
Okay, Nadine, thank you so much. I would like to invite all of you, but we haven't got time now, and I'm going to give the word now to our timekeeper, Sylvester. You can tell the time for us. Please, Sylvester.
Hello, everyone, once again. So, once again, zealous answers to Fernando's questions. So, going down the list, Mark Harris on Annoying Habits, 1 minute, 6 seconds. Anthony Anaka, Popular Kid, 39 seconds. Donovan Grant on Being Healthy, 1 minute, 11 seconds. Tony on Controversial Video, I think it was, 1 minute, 10 seconds. Sarika on Driving Me Crazy, 54 seconds. Michaela on 50 Quick Purchase, 1 minute, 11 seconds. Martin, Definition of Success, 53 seconds. Oh, Phil Reynolds on 10-Year Goal, 1 minute. Peter on Charity Donation, 1 minute, 48 seconds. Myself on Definition of Success, I think it was a minute. I wasn't looking at the clock. And then Nadine on The Words Job, 1 minute, 57 seconds. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Sylvester. So I feel it has been with you today with many roles, and that was a mammoth session of table topics for Phil to go over. So although we're still ahead of time, so it's still okay. So the schedule says 3 to 5 minutes, but Sylvester, don't be so keen to show the red flag. Yeah, just play it by ear. Phil, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. I will be as quick as I can. So we had lots of speakers. The first was, but I think I should say, I think everybody did a fantastic job. So we had Mark, who was asked, what habits do you have that annoy other people? I really love the one thing. I'll just try and give one thing. One commendation and one recommendation where I can, because we've had so many. So one thing I really loved about Mark was the body language. I loved the in one ear and out the other. I thought that was great. It really brought it to life. My recommendation to Mark would be whether he could perhaps tell more of a story. Could he give an example of a time when he misheard something or he wasn't listening and there was some consequence to that? Anthony A was asked, what's the best way to become the most popular kid in school? And I love the story he told about making people laugh. I love the tone. He's got such a kind of fantastic storytelling voice. My only recommendation, similar to Mark, could Anthony perhaps speak for a bit longer? Could he perhaps take us on a bit more of a journey and give an example of a time he made everyone in the class laugh? Donovan was asked about the definition of being healthy. I love Donovan's eye contact. He really drew us in, really made us feel a connection. And I love the imagery of getting up early, meditation, yoga. I didn't have any particular recommendations to Donovan, but I thought it was really good. Tony was asked for his most controversial view, which was potentially a trap. I like that he bought himself time with a rhetorical question. Sometimes with table topics, you can buy yourself a bit of time by repeating it and saying, "Oh, what is my most controversial view?" Which I thought he did quite well. As Donovan says, and as Fernando said at the beginning, we tend to try and stay away from controversial topics at Toastmasters. Try and keep away from politics and religion, first date topics generally. Yes, my recommendation would be to stay away. That didn't kind of offend me particularly. Generally stay away from kind of religious topics. Sarika was asked, what's one thing you do that drives other people crazy? I really like Sarika's confident tone. It felt very conversational, very natural. She didn't seem nervous particularly. It was a really nice full answer. And my only recommendation to Sarika is perhaps to and this comes with time, to just focus, trying perhaps move her eye contact a little more directly into the camera, because when she was speaking, she was looking up here a little bit, which kind of scanned as being a bit nervous. Michaela was asked, what's the best thing I've purchased with under £50? I thought Michaela's answer was really good. I talked about novels and telling us about some of the different types of novels that she read. I think she dealt well with she was being phoned. I thought she dealt well with the distraction. I think it was very easy to kind of get flustered, but I thought she was very confident. My only recommendation would be perhaps, again, to tell us more about a book that she, maybe she found in a charity shop or for cheap, for 50p, and really changed her life, or like her favorite, Pride and Prejudice, or whatever that book was. What was the thing that really she could have really latched onto and made a real kind of emotional connection. And Martin was asked, what's the definition of success? I loved his choice of words. Being happy, content, secure, and safe. I didn't have a particular recommendation for Martin, just perhaps to come back and keep speaking and to keep building your public speaking confidence. I can't remember. I think I could have. I thought I did quite well, but I could have spoken for a bit longer. Peter was asked, if you had $1 million and not pounds, and were told to give it away, what would you do and why? And I really like the humour. Peter's got this great dry sense of humour, and that really came through in his speech. I like the Jacob little kind of quip about the exchange rate, that little flash of wit, and the joke about kind of reaching the age where he might be a beneficiary of Help the Aged. I thought it was a really nice speech, and it was really good to see him speaking for nearly 2 minutes, which is the kind of length we should all be speaking to. So no particular recommendations, but I thought Peter's was a really good example of a good table topic. Sylvester was asked again about the definition of success, and I love Sylvester's body language. He was using his arms. My recommendation to Sylvester is just to keep an eye on his eye contact, because when he was thinking, he was looking up here a little bit, and again that read as perhaps a little bit nervous. And finally, Nadine. Nadine was asked, what's the worst job you had and how did you end up leaving it? And I always really enjoy Nadine when she speaks, because she's got such a great energy. She has that big smile on her face. She's such a natural storyteller, and she tells those kind of humorous stories really, really well. They're really compelling. And I thought it had a really nice conclusion as well, about with a kind of nice little parable about, or kind of bit of advice about ways to get good training in her current roles, which I thought was really positive. I didn't have any particular recommendations for Nadine. I thought that was really good. I think that's everything from me. So I'll hand back over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Phil. Finally, how many people use the word zealous? Gemma.
Thank you, Samuel. So I'm going to let you know how many people used our word of the day. So we had Samuel, who used it first. Then we had Luciana, who used it second, and Sylvester third. So we had 3 people using the word of the day. So part of my role, as you know, is to look out for the words that everybody has said today, and just to see some flair and how you got them to convey your message or what you're trying to present to us today. So I'm just going to pick out a few pieces that I thought were really great and a great example of public speaking online. So I'll start with Nadine. Nadine's speech was very descriptive, and she used a lot of words to convey her point. So she said jumped into action, and when she said jumped into action, we kind of felt that we were there with her, jumping into that scenario. So I thought it was a really great play on words. So Luciana, one key word I put on my list here was poetry. When she spoke, it was the words just flow so lovely together, and they're so tied together so nicely. And she said, I sang a song that I love so much. And I think when she said that, I could imagine the song that I didn't know what it was, just playing in my ear. And then she repeated the word, I'm curious, I'm curious, I'm curious, I'm curious about public speaking. And that kind of donated everything that we're doing today, really, of why we're here. Julie, really interesting opening. We know that we don't know anything. And I think when she said that sentence as a quote, it kind of pinned all the rest of that speech from start to bottom. And throughout the speech, I was listening to her repeat that question again and answering it in so many different ways. We've got Mark Harris, who was talking about his wife and said, there will be times when I will listen to her and there'll be times when I will not. And just those kind of contradictions in the way it was said just made us really understand his point. I don't think he had to say anything else for us to really know what he was talking about. We've got Donovan, who spoke about better you. And I actually underlined a few words, because he said, the better I am, the healthier I am, and kept repeating those play on words. So it was so sophisticated and so smart to be able to take one little word, I am, and just keep using it to convey so many different points and different messages. So I thought that was excellent. We got Martin Turner, our guest. Hello. I thought you were fantastic. You talked about success, and you said you just want inner contentedness. And just that word, just the way you used that word, the way you broke it down, contentedness, just summarized everything you had to say, and it really kind of just spoke volumes to me. I got some time. Phil talked about his job. I put on here, wow, it was really funny. And you said things like, all I want to do is support people. I want to help people. And it was all about people. The whole thing was about people, and it was also about yourself. And I thought that was really interesting, how it could be about you, but you brought in the mix of a third party within that conversation just by using words. So I thought that was brilliant. Peter said rapidly approaching their clientele. I could have laughed all day. I think if I wasn't on mute, you would have heard me laughing throughout. It was absolutely so funny, and it just kept going and going and going with those quotes. I think I could have filled up the whole page with these quotes. It was absolutely brilliant. I couldn't do all the ums and ahs because there were so many people talking, but I did concentrate on the speaking part. So Nadine, you said one so well done. Luciana, I didn't hear anything, so we're going to say that you didn't do it, so it's brilliant. Julie, none at all, no ums, no ahs. Michaela had a few, started her table topic with but ended it really quickly. Didn't kind of stagnate on the or the ahs, but kind of just said it and moved on. So I think just going forward is just maybe leaving it out at the beginning and the end, and just keep working until you get to a place of none. Phil did 2 evaluations and used a bit of ums and ahs, but the ums and ahs I find feels quite interesting because it kind of is a bit of the speech, and it kind of like and then you tell us a little story, so it kind of is like a really funny bridger, but I think we could bit less, but it was still a part of what you were doing. It was brilliant. So that's me. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Gemma. So in addition to Phil stepping in and rescuing the timetable, we've got a late edition. Who is going to tell me how I've done, and also evaluate everyone else who has not been evaluated. Donovan.
Hi, so my role today is the general evaluator, and the general evaluator's role, for the benefit of Martin and Sarika, is to evaluate the people who have not been evaluated yet. So we'll look at the Toastmaster, the Sergeant at Arms, the evaluators, grammarian, and timekeeper. So in general, the meeting started on time, which is really good. Our Sergeant of Arms, Fernando, was the first person to step up. And what I liked about Fernando's introduction is energized, and he brought the energy right from the start to get the meeting going. So I thought it was a really good start, Fernando. I think it may well be Fernando's first time as a Sergeant at Arms. So yeah, I look forward to more energizing starts from Fernando. So Fernando was then going to hand over to the president. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties, and these are the things that happen with online meetings. No fault of Tony's own, because he's probably been working on his internet all day. So yeah, fortunately, our Toastmaster stepped up to the plate, because I don't think this is something that's happened before. So it was interesting to see what was going to happen next. And Samuel stepped up to the plate and introduced himself, and he took the helm. And, he tried to rectify the situation for a while. We saw Tony wasn't going to come back, and then Samuel went into his role as Toastmaster for the day. So a couple of things I would say that I would recommend to Samuel or anyone else who would be in that position. It may well be worth, because part of the the president's role is to talk a little bit about Toastmasters Club just to say a little bit about Toastmasters, and then go into your own role of introducing the program. I believe it may have been Samuel's first time as Toastmaster. So I think he could have said a little bit more about the program before we started. And another recommendation, one of the key roles of the Toastmaster is introducing the speaker who's going to come up. So if it's a speaker, if it's an evaluator, whatever the role is, the Toastmaster's role is very much to introduce that person. So when that person gets to the mic or gets to the stage, they really feel, you know, energized already. So something to work on. I know it's your first time in a role, but the speaker, essential to introduce them. What I did like also about Samuel in the Toastmaster role was after each of the speakers spoke, he had a bit of feedback to transition before he went to the next speaker. And additionally, Samuel introduced the grammarians to introduce the speakers beforehand as well. So well done on your first role as Toastmaster, Samuel. Next person I speak about is Sylvester, who's our timekeeper today. Sylvester had some really good props, the green, the amber, and the red, and he had a good introduction up front. It was quite clear, it was concise as to what he was going to do when he was going to do it. And what I liked about Sylvester, you could tell he was focused, he was on point with all the times, he turned up when he needed to turn up, and his report at the end was on point as well. So a really excellent job as a timekeeper, Sylvester, good example. Next up, we have got our topics master, Fernando again, a dual role. And this is a great example of new Toastmasters who are stepping into more than one role. It's not something that we always do, but we encourage it. I mean, because every chance you get to step up and speak, it's going to improve Hello? It's going to improve your speaking, it's going to improve your confidence. So, without doubt, Fernando's topics today were excellent. Really good choice of questions. Quite easy for anyone to you know, come up with a story or do a table topic. So really, really loved your choice of topics today, Fernando. A couple of recommendations in the topics master role. Introduce the topic first, because you want to build a little bit of suspense. No one knows who's going to come up next. So say what the topic is, and then say the name of the person. You know, pause a little bit, then say the name of the person. Don't introduce it the other way around, because otherwise, you know, Tony knows he's coming up next, so he's thinking, oh, what's it going to be? So yeah, introduce this topic, introduce the speaker, and then just let them go. Just let them go and let them do their thing. And one other small point, in between each of the topics, just have a little bit more of a pause, because it seemed to go straight into the next speaker, and you know, next one is Donovan, next one is this. So just have a little bit more of a pause. But once again, I believe it was your first topic master. Great stuff, great topics, and I look forward to the next time you do the topic master role. So grammarian, we had Gemma, and I've definitely seen Gemma do the grammarian role before, and Gemma is definitely, you know, one of our newer and improving speakers. Great introduction in terms of what she was going to do as grammarian role. And I love the word zealous. I don't think I've ever seen it used in Toastmasters before. And it was an interesting word, because so simple but effective. And it sounds like a nice word as well. So Gemma brought a nice word, and it was used a few times, which is good. And Gemma's report back afterwards, very, very good report. She had something to say about most of the speakers, and very encouraging, very, very energizing grammarian role. It's yeah, one of the most upbeat grammarian feedbacks I've had for a while. So yeah, keep them coming, Gemma. It's definitely I can learn much from you in that role for sure. So who have I missed at the moment? Evaluators. So we had 3 evaluators: Michaela, Phil, and Phil. I'll start with Michaela and come back to the Phil twins later on. So Michaela evaluated Nadine, and you know, every time I hear Michaela speak, very encouraging. Michaela is such a really warm and encouraging speaker. Anything she does in a club, I've definitely seen that in her. And she gave Nadine some really encouraging feedback. one thing she said as well specifically was that she understood this sort of like technical stuff that she didn't know anything about. So it's a good example that Nadine obviously spoke well, but that encouragement of the speaker is really good thing to do. And she also provided a recommendation, which is something we encourage all evaluators to give our speakers a recommendation. One thing you probably could add is at the end of evaluations, give maybe a little more booster to leave them on a high, leave Nadine on a high after a speech. But great evaluation. And Phil, two evaluations of Phil. First one was Luciana. Phil's evaluation of Luciana. Phil was positive. He used good content. He talked about the content in Luciana's speeches. He talked about the structure. So he really gave us so much material to bring into our next speech. One thing which stood out in Phil's speech, and I know Phil uses this a lot, but Phil used that, you know, I love the way she told stories. I love the way she structured this. I love this. And just using those words, I love this, it is so powerful. I mean, I felt pleased for Luciana. You know, Phil loved the speech that much. But the point is, a simple expression, like Gemma said earlier on, can make such a big difference to every speaker. So Phil also evaluated Julie, and once again, Phil was energized, he was positive, good eye contact. And he started off by saying what Julie's objective was, just to give us an idea. And yeah, once again, it's very descriptive. And the thing I would say for Phil is that Julie's a very advanced speaker, and sometimes people shy away from giving a recommendation. Phil stood up to the plate. He gave Julie a recommendation about the book, and you know, well played to Phil for doing that. So that, I think, is the last one. The only other comment I want to make, I'm not sure if I'm missing one. The only other comment I wanted to make was Phil did 4 roles today. He did 2 evaluations, did a table topic, and he did tabletop evaluation. That's a lot of roles, but like Fernando did, Phil is a Lewisham speaker's man, and you know, a person to the heart. And it's just an example for anyone who's sitting around a table today. There might be a moment where an evaluator drops out, and there's a chance for you to step up to the plate. My challenge to you is be that person and say, hey, I'll step in and do that. So that's me. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. You've actually stolen a comment I was going to make myself, because so I mean, that before I get to that point, I mean, it concludes my role as Toastmaster, which has not been as scary as I imagined it would be. In fact, almost enjoyable. But in my new role as VP, I would echo what Donovan said in terms of putting yourself forward to take up roles. So I know Bill looks at the meeting for 2 weeks' time, and I think a couple of people have put themselves forward for speeches, but not many. I think most of the roles are still available. A popular one is always timekeeper, maybe because of the props. I'd encourage everyone who wants a role to go into Speakeasy. If you don't know, you can send me an email and I will do it for you and put your name against a role. With that, I will say thank you very much to everyone who's helped me. Special shout out to, well, I've written down Sylvester and Gemma because I thought it was their first times doing the roles, but as we know, as of today, I can't count, but it certainly was Michaela and Fernando's first time doing the roles they were doing, Fernando ×2, and Luciana's first speech. I can also apologize for I haven't turned my camera off, I don't know why, but occasionally the video just stops videoing. There's obviously something going on with Lewisham speakers and internet. So Tony, you haven't frozen, and it's over to you. You do need to unmute, Tony. You need to start again so we can hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yes. I thought my mother's internet was going down as well. thanks very much, guys. It's been an exciting meeting. I must say to Phil, I owe you a debt of gratitude for jumping in at the last moment because of my technical issues. The first thing I'd like to basically is ask the guest, Martin, how did you find the meeting?
Hi, Tony. Yes, I found it to be very, very engaging and great. I mean, I would, yeah, I really, really found it interesting, fun as well to listen to the speeches with the stories that they had inside them, and everyone's sort of contribution. Really, really, really good stuff. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for being so hospitable to me as well.
Are you likely to join or come again?
Yes, I would love to join again, definitely, and I would try to definitely come to the next one. I'd just like to ask how to keep updated with the sort of schedules that you guys have. Is it on the website?
I think our public relations officer will obviously drop you details on that. Some things are on the website, but if you're not a member, it's through sort of word of mouth at the moment, and the public relations officer. Am I correct, Phil?
Donovan, just a quick one. Martin, send me your email in the chat. Just send it to me privately, and
Okay,
I'll make sure you get details. Yeah.
Thank you, Donovan.
I think we also had Flora as a guest this evening as well.
We did. Flora had some. Flora messaged me and said she was having some technical problems as well, so she's dropped out. But she's come back, so hopefully we'll see her again.
Okay, and I see that is it Sharika? She's missing from her desk, so I presume we're not going to get a comment from her.
No, she's there.
Oh, she's there. Oh, great. Yeah, just like to ask you to comment on how you found the meeting.
Yeah, I think it was really nice. It's a good group of people. You're inclusive of everybody, and everyone has a chance to contribute. And it's very thorough. The remarks regarding everyone's speeches, regardless of how short or long, I think it was nice.
Okay. Whilst we're online, will you be joining us again?
I would like to. It's just the fact is that it's during my work hours.
Okay.
So as you can see, I have my computer here.
Fantastic that you make such an effort then.
Yeah, so I will try. I may not be as consistent as would probably be beneficial, but I will try. And once we get back into the office, then I won't be able to do it.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that I need to probably put across the table in terms of activities. I think at the committee meeting, we were talking about what we're going to do as a committee regarding Zoom. And I see there was a lot of sort of activity on WhatsApp, WhatsApp group earlier today about that. Has anyone sort of had any sort of thought around how we intend and proceed with that? No. Also, Phil, at our last meeting, we discussed the form pertaining to the new venue. Have you had any feedback in terms of from the people in terms of the contract?
Not yet. I will send them a message for you.
Okay. On that note, I said I thank everyone for coming, unless I've missed something out, because I don't think apart from the area, I think the area director was looking for people to be trained in terms of Zoom, and he was looking for one member of the club, if anyone is interested to get training on that. Is there anybody in the club that is interested in doing that? Okay, I think that's probably an offline conversation among our committee members, because I think the way things are going, if we're going to be on Zoom for a while, it would be useful for a member of the team or a member of the club to at least take over that role and see what we can do for ourselves going forward. Oh, sorry, Julie, I see you put your hand up.
I'm going to the meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow is a Zoom meeting about security. New security measures, that is one. And the second, I would like to tell that from the last meeting, we had a level 1 finish, which Phil put in for Samuel Tucker, who finished the level 1 of team collaboration.
Okay.
I think it is good to acknowledge people who do something and each time.
Oh,
yeah, well done, Samuel.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, that's good, because I had that discussion with Julie a couple of weeks ago, because I'm due to put mine into Toastmasters, but I wanted to treat a little, because I think we have ascertained the highest points that we can possible. So I want to start the new year with a new member. So what I will do is obviously ask the VP to complete mine, and I will complete mine in Easy Speak and Toastmaster myself. So at least we start the new year with somebody also have completed level 1. Because on that note, I feel that it gives us a good start going forward. And I mean, is there anything further? Because for myself, I think that's all I've got to say, unless any of the past presidents have got anything I've missed about new activities coming up. What I would like